This is Boomer Life on CL 650.
Welcome back to the program. I'm Sterling Fox, joined in studio by Dr. Paul Zickler from YesWellness. We're talking about your health today on Boomer Life. I'm looking forward to your list in a few minutes here, Dr. Zickler. 10 things to throw away for better health. But the story of YesWellness is still only partly told. You've taken us to the point where you and your colleagues had developed an online prescription service, initially because of the popularity of Canadian prices versus much higher American prices. And once the word got out south of the line, boy, a lot of the business came from Washington State and elsewhere in America. And once you had received permission from the U.S. government to mail prescriptions down there, it seemed like, well, the sky's the limit after that. So what happened?
Well, the business grew, and I was still working in our family practice clinic. But I think that's where the next stage sort of started is after about 12 years of being in the family clinic, sort of family, walk-in clinic business. I got a little disillusioned, just the same way I got disillusioned by the backlog and the management of patient volume in the emergency department.
Hospital politics, one might call it,
yeah,
right?
The next thing I got disillusioned with was how effective I was being with my care in terms of, I was seeing more and more chronic illness. It didn't matter what I did. It didn't matter how many new drugs the drug companies were churning out to treat, say, for example, diabetes.
Okay.
They weren't getting any better. They were getting sicker and sicker, meaning that they started with one medication, then they started with two medications, then they had three medications, and similar for the high blood pressure, they had one medication, they had two medications. And by the time you did all their blood work, they had they had high cholesterol. Before you knew it, they were on 3 or 4 medications.
Right.
And I'm thinking to myself, there's got to be a better way of dealing with this. And of course, we all went through that. We want you to get some more exercise and choose a better diet.
Right.
And left it at that, because that's all the time we had. By the time we took their blood pressure, looked at their blood work, took their blood pressure, and got them the new prescription,
right,
that was good until the next time. And so it was frustrating. And my daughter at the time was going to be a naturopath. And at first I was a little askance at her decision to do that.
Well, you were old school,
yeah.
Western traditional medicine guy, and here's your daughter going for that alternative stuff.
Yes.
And that's what it was referred to in those days, wasn't it?
Well, it is still to it, and I like the word complementary now. But anyway, so that, I listened to her, what she had to say of what she wanted to do it and why she wanted to do it, as opposed to looking at other situations in healthcare after she had her science degree. And it really appealed to me. It's 2 years of basic sciences like we do, but then the other 2 years, besides sort of conventional medicine, they looked at all the other complementary forms of medicine.
Okay.
So as traditional Chinese medicine, herbology, reflexology, meditation, mindfulness training. And as I sort of looked at that and backed onto that feeling of frustration I had with the effectiveness of what I was doing,
right,
I started to take some courses while she was there, and at Bastyr University, which is just north of Seattle. And it started to open my eyes and said, okay, there's a lot of things I'm doing that doesn't work. Why not try this? Maybe I don't have all the evidence-based studies to back up certain things, but there sure is a lot of people doing this, and the people are getting better.
Right.
And so then I started.
So you were able to put your prejudices aside.
Yes.
Because there was, particularly in that day, quite a lot of resistance, and the word alternative was a pejorative for many, referring to these new medical types. But now it's changed because of people like you and your peer group who have decided, well, maybe there's more to this than meets the eye, and maybe I ought not to be so dismissive of it.
Yeah, exactly. And one of the things that they did stress is they stressed nutrition, and they stressed exercise, and uh, they stressed stress
Mm-hmm.
in terms of management of stress,
Okay.
with all the complementary treatment options for that, which is really the basis of what we're preaching right now.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't gotten anywhere with all the drugs, but we realize that by making changes in nutrition, exercise, and our spiritual outlook on life, that we can make a better outcome.
Right.
And so that's where that was the foundation. So then, I really got interested in terms of looking at the complementary side and incorporating that into my practice. And and as time went on, we started looking at, okay, I've got all this experience on sort of an online business, stressing, sort of healthcare
Mm-hmm.
by facilitating people that really need medications to be able to get them.
Right.
Now I'm looking at complementary options and how can we use the internet to help us progress our feelings of wellness.
Given the success you had with the prescription business
Yeah,
and the experience you developed using the internet over all of those years, it seemed a logical platform to carry on the new enterprise.
exactly. And so that's where Yes Wellness was born. And so what we're trying to do is really format the education of what we're doing right now, discussing what things an individual can do to empower themselves to become healthy and not depend on their doctor to tell them what to do.
Right.
Is I'm going to make a decision and use my partner, the physician, to help me get to my health goals. And that's really what Yes Wellness is trying to do. In that, included in that is our ability to look at beneficial products that may help us in our quest of being well.
Right.
And so that's why we carry the wellness line of supplements and nutritional products that would help everyone's quest to wellness.
Right. And you and I have discussed up to this point in the past. And for example, it's important to note that you don't manufacture these products. You source them, and you're the distributor in this part of the world through YesWellness.com, because there are bigger fish to fry from your perspective than manufacturing supplements and those sorts of things. And in the past, and I would appreciate it if you could take a second and review that basic fundamental package of supplements and or vitamins and or minerals that you think each and every one of us, particularly boomers, should be taking every day.
Yes, and before I go into that list of supplements that are necessary, you want to really stress that taking supplements without doing all the work in nutrition and exercise and work on stress, that doesn't matter if you took boatloads of supplements
Right.
and nutraceuticals. It's not going to help you.
This is the big picture that you learned about when you stepped back and started to study alternatives and other forms of medical treatment.
Yes.
And it's more big picture. It's more holistic, isn't it?
Yes, and it's so important because when you look at the nutraceutical supplement business, it's a $17 billion a year business in the United States.
Okay.
But our incidence of chronic illness hasn't reduced by that much. So just taking the supplements isn't going to make you well. And that's the underlying thing. However, if you are really being empowered to look after your health, are making the right decisions in terms of nutrition,
Right.
which is 80% of what you can do. Nutrition is 80% of what you can do to improve your health.
Just eat properly.
Exactly. 20% is the exercise part
Okay.
and the dealing with the stress. And if you can really work on those, then use the nutraceuticals and supplements to complement your wellness, to make you the most optimum condition for health, that's what you want to do.
Well, I think that's an important moment that you've just taken to point out that no matter how dedicated you are to following the next list of these supplements and vitamins, etc., that in isolation isn't going to change your life very much. It's a big picture. You have to see yourself as part of, with the vitamin supplements and those sorts of things, being part of a greater effort, which involves eating properly and, gosh, maybe even getting out for a bit of a stroll every day.
Exactly, and that's very important to realize. And once you really have been doing those essential things and have decided in your own mind that you want to embark on wellness, that you yourself personally have made that decision,
right,
that I want to improve my health, and do those things, you can use supplements to really tweak that wellness.
Now, for boomers, I think there's a fork in the road when we come. You just talk about that kind of decision, that kind of motivational decision. I'm going to take charge of my health, and I'm going to start eating right. I don't have to turn into an Olympian. I'm just going to get a little bit of exercise every day and maybe take some supplements just to kind of create a little balance overall. Now, a boomer is going to go, well, I'm at that point in my life where I better make some changes if I want to at least meet the statistical averages of life expectancy these days, which are being extended literally by the year. Or the boomer is going to say, I'm too old for that stuff. I'm stuck with my bad habits. I've been nursing this bad body for 50, 60 years. I see no reason to do anything different now. I'm just going to slide into home and hope I make it. And that's interesting. I'll bet you find that a lot with people of the boomer age. It's one way or the other. There are very few in-betweens.
Yeah, well, that is true. That is true. And you know what? The big point I want to make with this, Stuart, is that it's never too late.
Right.
And even if you've got arthritis and you're chair bound, it's never too late to make sure that your diet is the optimum.
Right.
And that even exercise, doing exercises in the chair. There are plenty of exercises in the chair videos on Google, and get the grandchildren to show them to their boomer grandparents.
Well, I wasn't kidding when I said you don't have to turn into an Olympian to give your body a little bit of a workout every day.
Yeah, so for sure, that's so important.
All right, and so when we're talking now, a commitment of some kind is what you're looking for. And this is what frustrated you as a walk-in clinic guy, because we all hear it from our doctors, and the problem with most of us and our doctors is time. Our doctors have to see a lot of people, and we only have, on average, 10 to 15 minutes. So, as you say, you're going to get your blood pressure taken, you discuss whatever issues are important to you at the moment, and then the doctor writes you a new prescription perhaps, and on the way out says, you could lose 5 pounds, you should do a little more exercising, and smarten up with that diet, just lay off the sweets, and then see you next time. And that's it. And how much of that lesson, of those words of advice, are going to stick? Not likely very many. Yes. And that drove you nuts after a while, but you need some degree of commitment from the patient, because that's what it's going to take to keep healthy. You can't just take supplements and go, well, that's it. That's all I need to do. Back to the TV set.
Yes. Yeah, that's unfortunately in our sort of the way we look at our health these days. That's what we want. Just give me the pill.
Right.
And I'm gonna. That's all I have to do.
Yeah. There's a new pill that'll make you thin. Oh, yeah. Great. Okay, I'll take one. I'll take a bottle of those. Yeah. Well, it's just not all that easy, and it's always about the big picture, and it's always about personal motivation. And it frustrated you that you weren't able to motivate more people to make that commitment. And I think in the bottom line, in many cases to you, Dr. Paul, was you didn't have the time. As a doctor, you are constrained by time. It's just that simple, isn't it?
It is. And we have to look at it differently. And I think that's probably where you'll see family medicine progressing towards, is to use a different format. And we there's lots of dollars out in our healthcare system. It's just how do you use it?
Right.
If you incorporate that into clinics, where you take on the role of being that functional healthcare worker, where you're integrating both conventional and complementary medicine,
Right.
and providing a format for that patient to succeed in his reaching his goals.
Right.
And empowering him to do that. That's where we're heading.
Okay, and we're heading to a break right now, but when we come back, I will solicit that list of supplements that you would highly recommend each and every one of us to take on a daily basis. And I'm still really looking forward to 10 things to throw away for better health. This list is going to surprise you because you have all 10 things where you live. I'm willing to bet the farm on that one. You're listening to Boomer Life here on CIL 650. Our guest is Dr. Paul Zicler from YesWellness.com. You might want to check that out while we take this break.
Celebrating the baby boomer lifestyle. This is Boomer Life on CIL 650.